Hey, what's up everybody? Today, I've got a highly anticipated and long overdue video for you. It's for the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge. Finally, we're wrapping up our tempered glass screen protector comparison review, and I'll tell you which one I think is best. Enan here from Udroid Mania, and you're watching part 3 of my comparison review. So let's get started. In today's video, we're going to pick up where we left off. In our last comparison video, we actually didn't have a chance to take a detailed look at the Zoomy Pro Glass. This is a store-bought protector which I found at Walmart. On paper, it seemed to have everything that we were looking for, so I decided to include it in the review. As I mentioned earlier on, I did have another amazing thing tempered glass screen protector. I purchased this because in the last full review that I had done, there were so many comments about the way that I actually had installed the protector, and that I was the one actually causing the rainbow effect. So I figured once again we'd try this out, and I'd purchase another one and go for the install. In this video we'll see how that came out. Okay, and now that we're all on the same page, let's go ahead with the install. Back to the Pro Glass, inside of the packaging you'll find the installation toolkit here. So we have here a multi-purpose cleaning wipe as well as some dust removal stickers. I did notice that there's no dry cloth here, but we're going to use one anyway. This way I can make sure that there's no alcohol residue left. We'll start by thoroughly cleaning the display. We need to make sure that there's no dust, dirt, or debris left there, because anything that's on the display underneath the glass protector is going to be there. So let's try not to do that. As I briefly mentioned earlier, no dry cloth is included, so I've got my own. With the phone all dry, I can remove any dust that remains before I go ahead with the protector install. And I'll just point out now that I find it pretty weird that the glue here only runs around the perimeter, especially since this protector has color matching at the top and bottom. I'll also point out that when the glue only runs around the perimeter, just like it does here, when you pair this type of protector with a case, you get that clicking sound. So right now, as we move forward, these are just some things to keep in mind if you're interested in the Pro Glass tempered glass protector. When it comes to the actual installation, it's pretty easy. When the protector's in position, just lower it down slowly. Press from the center outward towards the edges. This way you're removing any pockets of air or bubbles. And here's our first full look at the protector. In terms of the color matching, like I mentioned in the last video, this protector is neither sapphire black or titanium silver. But for some strange reason, I don't seem to mind this color at all. Now that I've got the protector installed, and you guys have seen me do this time and time again in other videos, after we make sure that the protector fits properly, then we take a look at touch sensitivity. So let's do that now, because with this protector I can already see that there's a few problems. And as pointed out by a few viewers of the channel, is to go into developer options and take a look at the touch function there. And this way we can get a good read on the screen in terms of if there's any dead spots. There's a pretty simple test here that allows you to see if there's any dead spots or dead areas. As you can see here, when it comes to the Pro Glass, there's some sensitivity issues. And after running this test, you can see here that there's about 4 of them. But even without running this test, I can tell you that there's other areas on the display that are also having sensitivity issues. Just to make sure that it wasn't me as I was going through the test, I decided to run it again. And I actually had done the test several times, and as you can see here, the sensitivity issues still exist. So in terms of this protector being the best one out there for the Galaxy S7 Edge, I'd have to say that this is probably not the one. Next, we'll go ahead with the install for the Amazing Thing protector. Inside of the packaging, in terms of the installation toolkit, everything is there that we need. And since we've already seen this install before, I'll go ahead and line up the protector and slowly lower it down into position. Since my previous install of this protector, what I've learned is to gently press outward from the center and slowly towards the edges. This way I can be sure to remove any pockets of air from underneath the protector. For the sake of this video, I did speed things up to about 200%. This way I could keep the video moving, but then you could also see that I did the proper install. And one thing that I'll go ahead and point out now is that, because I know many of you have already seen it, is that slight rainbow effect. It's nothing like what we've previously seen, so we'll come back and address that shortly. Next, I took my microfiber cloth here, and this is because I wanted to make sure that along the perimeter of this protector that we've actually got a nice clean seal. For once, I'm actually pretty satisfied with the way that this install went, or is going I should say. Well, that was until I hit the top left hand side of the protector. As I'm pressing here, I seem to be hearing a clicky sound, and like I said earlier today, that usually means that the glue's not adhering. So let's take a closer look and see if we can figure out what's going on. What I found is that the glue is not adhering, and when you press down, that's when you get that popping sound. Also, because we're not getting a good seal here, what's going on is that there's air getting underneath the protector, which this is something that I've also said before, is that when air is allowed to get between the protector and the display, you get that rainbow effect. And by simply pressing down here on the side and sealing the gap, as you can see, I'm able to remove the rainbow. Next, I pulled out my Mohs hardness test kit, along with every tempered glass that I've covered on the channel so far. And with the Mohs hardness test kit, the basic premise here is that, as it relates to scratch resistance, a harder material is able to scratch a softer material. When it comes to the protectors that we've looked at, the majority of them, when they're rated, have been rated a 9H in terms of hardness, and that's what we're here putting to the test. I started with a 2H, which is relatively very soft, and as you've seen, at that level there were no scratches produced. So for this test, I would keep moving on until I'm able to determine what level of hardness the glass is rated. Or maybe I should say should be rated. And so far, for all the protectors that I tested, it wasn't until I got to level 8 that I really started to see scratches being produced. What this means in terms of hardness rating is that, for those protectors that are being scratched by a level 8 hardness, they should be rated a 7H. And as many of us know, it's not the 7H that catches our attentions, it's the 9H. Today, that's what's marketed as being the best in terms of protection, so I think that's why most brands are going with it. One thing that you should know though is there's not much out there that can scratch a 9H. According to the Mohs scale, essentially what you would need is something like a diamond, because those are rated a 10 in terms of hardness. So in terms of all the protectors that we've seen, iCarez came in at a 6H and all the others came in at a 7H. And when I looked at the scratches that were actually produced, it was the Otterbox Alpha glass that seems to hold its own. And even though it's rated a 7H, it's there that the scratches are less apparent. Altogether, we've looked at more than 10 protectors, and based on all the tests that I've gone through, I still gotta give it to GPEL when it comes to full screen curved protectors. I've put this protector through the paces as it relates to touch sensitivity, drop tests, its support for being paired with cases. We've done scratch tests, looked at its clarity as compared to other tempered glass protectors, and lastly, I've even done the water submersion test. This is something that was requested on the channel. I actually never got the chance to upload that, by the way, so now it's a part of this video. And this test took 15 minutes, so I've also sped up this portion of the video just to keep things moving. As I conducted this test, I found it to be quite interesting. There really were no bubbles that were coming up and floating through the water, which is a sign that there was minimal water getting in underneath the protector. And this is something that you want because once that water gets underneath there, not only is it difficult to get out, it can also cause the adhesive to become loose. For me though, this is not so much an issue because I typically don't swim with my phone or submerge it in water, so I'm not so much worried about that. I also had done the same test using the Otterbox Alpha glass, and when the water began to really hit the screen around the 5-minute mark, the phone started to freak out, so I ended up taking it out of the water. And this just goes to show how good that seal is on the GPEL. After 15 minutes, like I said earlier, I removed the phone from the water here. Next, I used a paper towel to dry off the excess water so that we could take a closer look. What I found is that the phone performed and functioned as normal. When it came to touch sensitivity, it was still buttery smooth. Up top, I did notice a bit of moisture along the front-facing camera and the sensors, so I figured just to make sure that everything was well, I'd test out the front-facing camera. As you can see, there's no issues. Given everything that GPEL has to offer, and to close out this series, GPEL has sent out 7 protectors that I'm gonna be giving away, so stick around for the details. Okay, so there you finally have it. When it comes to a full screen, tempered glass curved protector for the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, based on my finding, I think that GPEL is the best all around. In terms of compromises, and that's if you're making one, I'd say it's around the case that you'd like to pair this protector with, because it doesn't work with all of them. If you're looking for the most case friendly, I'd say you'd have to go with the Otterbox Alpha glass, as that comes in a close second. In terms of the giveaway, I've got 4 protectors here for the Galaxy S7 Edge and 3 for the Galaxy S7. In order to enter the giveaway, ideally you're subscribed to the channel, you'll need to be following me on Twitter, retweet this video with the hashtag GPEL giveaway, and lastly, leave a comment down below of the protector and color you're interested in. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button for more giveaways and content like this. As always, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you in my next one.